Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be a victim to needless suffering. Those two things right there. Hello, beautifuls. My name is Giselle, co-host of the Strong Sunflowers podcast and founder and CEO of the Create app, an app created specifically for content creators. So if that's you, make sure that you follow us on Instagram at the Create app. We should be launching by the beginning of November. Super excited for this project, and I can't wait to share more with you guys coming up soon. So make sure you subscribe to this channel. But today we're going to talk about how to have real power. If that's something that you're interested in learning about, make sure you subscribe and let's jump right into it. Number one, practicing detachment. Practicing detachment not only from friendships, from romantic relationships, from materialistic things has been the biggest blessing that has ever come into my life. I can't really pinpoint the moment that I stopped giving a damn and really practiced detachment, especially with my mom. I think my mom was one of the biggest attachments that I've ever had. There's a lot of generational trauma going on in that side of the family, and it has taken me a while, but I mean, we always would love to have our moms, but I feel like now in this part of my life, like I have built a really good detachment of like, I can still love my mom, and if she's ready to have a conversation with me, I'm more gladly be happy to have it, but she doesn't run my life in the sense that like I'm not emotionally drained because we don't have a good relationship. I can't really remember or pinpoint the exact moment that I was like, damn, I only want what wants me, and truly apply that to all my life. You don't like black girls? Okay, I'm not for you. You think I'm too loud? I am not for you. Truly detaching myself from anything that doesn't want me and going to places where I'm celebrated. Number two, doing the deep work, especially the work that takes us to be alone. Loneliness has become the new pandemic. 1 out of 5 people experience loneliness in their lives. And if you ask them right now, they feel alone, even in a room full of people. I did a whole video on this for May when I was doing mental health and what's affecting us right now. I do believe that we are meant to be in community and we are not meant to be lonely creatures like a lone wolf. But I do feel like we have gone to the extreme of just needing validation from the outside world too much, especially with social media and what social media has become, whether you're getting validated by the likes or comments and shares that you're getting on your videos. We're still needing that outer validation of making us feel enough. At the end of the day, we all want to be accepted, understood, and seen. And when we are not enough for ourselves, how can we be enough for other people? So with that being said, validate yourself. Take your power back. I was in Austin about 2 weeks ago, and we have joined a running club here in my hometown, and my friends and I go running. I don't like running, okay? I don't like the bounce. So I usually jog or walk, and I'm pretty independent, so like I let them go ahead of me and I'll just walk whenever I need to walk, and I don't mind it doing it alone. But last weekend we weren't here, and my friend was like, oh my gosh, I don't think I'll be able to go because, you know, I don't really want to be alone. And my friend Monica and I just encouraged her to go alone. This is good for you. Go get out of your comfort zone, meet new people, walk, jog, run. You like running, go do it. You don't always need a community behind you. You don't always need your friend to be there with you. Also, it ties into the other thing that we talked about, detachment. Detach yourself from your friends. Detach yourself from anything other than who you are. She ended up going and she loved it, 10 out of 10. She met new people, she had a great time, and at the end of the day, it's a win-win. She met new people and she got to work out. Number 3. Perspective. You can either look at the glass half empty, or you can look at the glass half full, or you can even look at the glass with a full endless potential of being full or empty. You know, the potential is endless. I think, again, when we talk about taking our power back, perspective is huge because you can truly create your own happiness. That's why when we look at, I come from communist Cuba. I come from nothing. I grew up in the hood with no running water, eating freaking arroz con frijoles and pan con aceite, like bread with oil. I grew up with filling and stuffing my bed with clothes because the little coils were coming up and I needed to close it up and level it out. I grew up with nothing, you know, and taking little showers with a little cup and a little bucket, warming our hot water on the stove. And I say all that to say is that Cuban people, if you've ever met a Cuban person, they are the happiest people you've ever meet. If you go to Cuba, they are the happiest people, one of the happiest people you ever meet. There's always live music in the streets. Even though they have absolutely nothing, there's always a celebration. They're always dancing. They're always saying jokes. It's always a vibe. Let's be honest. It's always a vibe, but they have nothing. So it's truly about perspective. And I think now it's getting a little harder because now they have more access to the internet and they can see how other people are living. And that's why we had a riot like a couple of years ago of like people rebelling against the government, because the Cuban government sucks. Communism, down with communism. And they can really see how other people are living and they're like, dude, our life here kind of sucks. But that at the same time, we don't want that comparison. And I think the Cuban people as a whole do that very well, where they're like, okay, they might have this, but guess what? I'm not gonna ruin my life just because I'm not in America, just because I don't have these luxuries. I'm gonna have a good time regardless. And that mindset and that attitude I have definitely carried into here living in America. I live in Florida, but definitely keeping that perspective of like, when shit hits the fan, Giselle, it could totally be worse. Number 4, accountability. I know I did an accountability video on business, but this is accountability again. Take your power back. Accountability in your life. So 2 weeks ago, I got to go to Texas. And usually when I go to Texas, I only go for 4 days. But this time the flights were cheaper if I went for a whole week. So we had our event on Saturday. I got there on Thursday and we had a couple events. I hanged out with Santa and the things that she had to do. Santa's my co-host for the podcast, The Strong Sunflowers. And then Sunday, we went out to dinner. We went out with our friends. And then Monday, I think I didn't do anything. And by Monday, I was already like ready to go. Because again, she lives in Manor, which is a little bit out of Austin. So it's a little bit of a drive. And even to get an Uber is like $50. So I'm over here. She had to go back to work. I didn't have a car. I was stuck in the house. So I couldn't really do anything until she came home from work. And even with that, like she has 4 kids. So I understand that she has to cater to them and like what they have going on in their schedule. And I started to get a little bit upset. In the sense of like, oh my gosh, I just felt like I was wasting my time. I needed to be making YouTube videos and oh my gosh, I brought my camera and everything and my gear and I forgot my memory card. Like, what the hell? But yeah, I was getting so kind of annoyed because I'm like, oh my gosh, there's so much things that I need to do for the business, the Create app, the other stuff, YouTube. Like, I'm just wasting my time. And I wanted to go do things, but I didn't have a car. And I nipped it in the butt right then and there. And I was like, okay, Giselle, what can you control? And before I jumped into what I can control, I talked to myself about why are you in the situation that you are right now? I feel like a lot of the times we act like the victim and we're not the victim. You knew what the fuck was up. You knew that you were gonna be here a week, so you should have prepared for that. If you knew that Santa had to go back to work, you should have rented a car if you wanted to go do fun stuff in the city, baby. Cause hello, that's on you. No one's fault that you can't go anywhere. You should have rented a car. Oh, you ain't got money for that? Then shut the fuck up. Like realistically, then shut up. There's no excuse because you could have fixed that. And then now moving forward, I'm like, okay, how are you gonna fix it moving forward so you don't feel this way? Because again, the way that you're feeling right now, it's no one's responsibility but yours. And it's no one's fault but yours. You know, so next time you know that you can only come for 4 days if you don't have a car. And if you come more than 4 days, you're gonna have to rent a car. And if you can't rent a car, then don't come for more than 4 days. Period. It's about taking back your power. It's about keeping your power. Like we give our power so easily away. And after sitting with myself and talking through it like that, I was like, okay, I felt much better because guess what? I couldn't blame anybody else but myself. So take accountability. Number 5, it's all about the 4 agreements, but all about also having emotional intelligence, self-awareness, and self-acceptance. And the first agreement is be impeccable with your words. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using words to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your words in the direction of truth and love. And number 2 that we're gonna talk about is don't take anything personal. Nothing others do is because of you. What others say and do is a projection of their own reality, their own dream. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be a victim to needless suffering. Those 2 things right there, life-changing. Be impeccable with your words. As a Scorpio, I said when I said it. I try not to say things that I will regret. And usually when I speak my mouth and I say anything about anybody or about anything in general, like I mean it, and I will say it to your face. I will say it to whoever I need to say it to. My manager always tells me like, Giselle, you don't have a filter, do you? I'm like, I do have a filter, but I don't have a fake filter. Like, I'm not gonna be and pretend to be your friend when I'm not. I'm not gonna pretend to fuck with you when I don't. I'm not going to say good things about you when I don't believe that about you and I think you're doing trash work. And if you're doing trash work, I'm gonna tell you. And if you have a problem with that, I don't know what to tell you. And even with me giving my opinion, if you yourself are impeccable with your words and not taking anything personal, you know that my opinion might not even be about you, you know, because I may be projecting as well. But if you have that self-awareness and self-reflection, you can be like, oh yeah, I am doing trash work. Own it, which goes back to accountability. Own your shit. And that's how you get your power back. That's what true power looks like. And this leads me to number 6, which my mom, I grew up with her saying this all the time, no te dejes provocar, which means don't let yourself be provoked, okay? We all have buttons that we're all trying to hide, and the better you learn how to hide your buttons, the more non-reactive you can be to the outside world, and again, keep your power. Human psychology can teach you a lot about the human experience, and when you understand that, then you can move differently in the world. I just did a video on the 48 Laws of Power, and whenever I speak about that book, a lot of people think it's all about like manipulation and trying to manipulate people, but I really think the book is not only to help you play the game, but for you to understand the rules of the game. If you don't understand psychology, if you don't understand how human beings act and react, it's gonna be hard for you to be in the game because you're gonna be in a reactive mode. You don't wanna be in the defensive. You wanna be in the offense. And at the end of the day, it's about whoever knows the rules can win the game. You cannot win the game if you don't know the rules. When I went to therapy, I swear to you, the only 2 people that knew where my buttons were for the most part, because it takes a lot for someone to piss me off. Because I've done a lot of work to not be so reactive to people, but it was my husband and my mother at the time. Like, oh my gosh, those 2 knew what buttons, what to say to trigger me into acting out of character or acting like a person that I didn't want to be. So make sure that when you choose your spouse, like they're bringing out the best in you and not the worst, FYI. I say all that to say to like, no te dejes provocar. Don't let yourself be provoked. Take your power back. And the more that someone can provoke you to do something that you don't want to do, the more power that they have over you. So these are the 6 tips that I have for you guys. These are the tips that I'm personally using in my own life to make sure that I'm not being provoked, to make sure that I'm taking accountability, to make sure that I'm not attached to anything that's not meant for me. And I love you guys, and I'll catch you in the next video. Take your power back. Ciao.